Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Alex Bear reaching out or here from SpecTalk. We've also got Matt Phillips on the line that's going to be joining us as well. So we are looking to today's Spec Talk to review some of the different parts of the specification program. We are kind of to back up here. So Matt Phillips, again, me as always, Alex Bear. I'll be today's host. Dory Azar is not with us this week. He's out traveling and attending, I think, some fun trade shows. So it'll be myself, and then we also have Matt Phillips on the call. So Matt Phillips is a product owner of SpecLink Cloud. He's been with the BSD and now RIB for about 15 years, and he's played a really important role in our support team and training, also QA engineering, and a product owner. So he's got a lot of diversity in his involvement with the company and the support of the program. He's also previously worked at a full service AE firm for about 13 years in administrative and IT roles in automation and processing of specifications using a variety of word processing and specialized specification platforms. So, welcome, Matt. We appreciate your ability to join us here today.
All right. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and see how we can help everybody out who's joining today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, um, we'll go ahead and kind of get started. I know that we've spent a lot of time over the past, several weeks and months going through some of the advanced features of SpecLink, like our linking and tagging, and anything from big buildings to small buildings. The advanced, the basics, you really name it. So what we wanted to do is kind of flip the script today and have that ability to see what the audience thinks. So it is an open house, kind of a come one, come all. And if you are not familiar, there is with GoToWebinar, there is a chat panel at the top right of the GoToWebinar menu, where you can just simply submit your questions to us, and we'll have the ability to answer those and kind of talk through different parts of the program. We do also have a documents panel at the or tab at the top right of GoToWebinar as well, and that will give you the ability to um, access different documents that we have. If you've been attending our Spec Talk webinars for SpecLink, or if maybe this is one of your first webinars that you're attending, we have different resources available. We have a link to all of our different Spec Talk pre-recorded webinars as well. We're getting close to our 1 year anniversary with SpecTalk, so a lot of good content out there to help you, whether you're maybe a architecture engineering firm or an owner that's looking at considering adopting SpecLink for your specification writing standards, or maybe you are a longtime customer with us. Again, we've got all kinds of different topics that help address things around how to convert to a database and use something like SpecLink, different automation advantages to save you time through specification writing, BIM integration, linking, tagging, Office Master. So all of those different pre-recordings are in the Documents tab. We do also offer a free demo. So if there's anybody out there that would like to um, discuss SpecLink further with your firm, we are able to set up an online demonstration. Usually that takes about 30 minutes to 60 minutes, just depending on your time availability, interest. And we can go through your company's specific needs and walk through the SpecLink program. We do also have a free trial. That's a 14-day trial that we offer that will give you the ability to kind of take a look for the program yourself and navigate the system and kind of explore it firsthand. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some of the initial questions. So we did have some initial uh, people in the audience that submitted a few questions. So let's just kind of pick from those to get the conversations flowing, get the juices flowing, and then, as again mentioned, you can ask any question that you'd like. We're not afraid of your questions. So let's go ahead and start. I've got about 5 questions that have kind of come in from the group so far. Um, so the first question, it is, I have an architecture firm, let's see, of 10 people. No one is a specification writer by trade. How easy would it be to adopt SpecLink at my firm? So I believe that's coming from a non-user at the moment. And really the answer is, you don't have to be a specification writer by trade to use and write specifications with something like SpecLink. And we'll get into the details in just a little bit, but it is a database system with multiple layers of integrated automation that help you as you're going through, as you're choosing your high level materials and sections. We have a lot of intelligent linking in the system that will help to bring together a lot of the specification and coordinations of the spec choices. So we've got a lot of firms that are using SpecLink that don't have, say, a chief spec writer, or maybe they had a chief spec writer or somebody that was heading up the specs that's no longer with the firm. And it is a great actual transition tool for firms that are looking to make that shift. Let's see here. So we've got another one. Okay, we previously have been working with Word for our specifications, but it's a bit of a bear to keep them up to date. So they were just curious to see, how do you keep the specs up to date in SpecLink, and how often are they kept up to date? So it's a great question, and it's a good question because there's a lot of information and specifications that if you turn a blind eye, if you go and grab a cup of coffee, you may come back and that content's out of date. So it is a big part of the process. If you've got in-house Word specs, trying to keep those up to date, different manufacturers are going in and out of business. You've got different products and new technologies that are constantly emerging, and different trade standards, reference standards going in and out of date. So we actually have a team of about 15 spec writers here in-house at SpecLink. We also have a peer review committee of about 12 architects and engineers at different larger firms that are constantly reviewing our specifications and ensuring that those documents are staying up to date. So I'll actually kind of flip over to SpecLink and show you that.
Yeah, while you're doing that, Alex, if I could add in
Uh-huh.
an additional item,
Sure.
not to overlook the reference standards, because that is the toughest item for spec writers to keep up to date in any specification system because of the amount of research that goes into it. And so
Uh-huh.
whether you're using the master content or your own user added content within the platform, the reference standard system is automated so you can use it in both master and user documents. And since our spec writers keep the reference standards up to date on an annual basis, you don't have to worry about updating those yourself. You can just take advantage of the system that we have in place already for those reference standards, because that is the bulk of the updates on an annual basis for any specification system.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, it is, we've got about 1,306 sections in our library, kind of constantly ever growing. But you can, yeah, to Matt's point, you can take a specification section from your library. You'll have the ability to upload that into SpecLink, and we will sort of convert those reference standards into an intelligent standard. So that way, moving forward, you have that ability to accept those updates in your user added sections. We've got some exciting updates coming soon. We'll talk about down the road too, but there's going to be some major updates soon that are going to kind of revolutionize the abilities with the updating feature and the abilities to, the importing features and the ability to kind of bulk import different sections into your firm Office Master inside of SpecLink. But just as a quick sort of overview on the updating while we're here, just to show in the software, what we can do is if we're in an Office Master or for an existing project, you have the ability, you can sort that specification here at the top left by all the sections that have updates available. So this will give you a bird's eye view of everything kind of in your library that you may need to take another look at. And we push these updates out weekly, so they're constantly going out to our end users, and you can choose whether you want to kind of your schedule. If you want to update your specification masters once a year or maybe twice a year, you can kind of choose that flow. But they'll sort of add up and sort of stack up in the system. And then the cool thing about our updating is that it's going to give you a breakdown too. So you're going to be able to see things like the specific manufacturers and those particular changes or reference standards, as Matt had alluded to, master text update. So all that stuff is going to be, right here and available inside of SpecLink, and you can actually update these seamlessly. So you can, if you accept an update here, it will actually exchange out that particular piece of text. So it does so into your custom Office Master. you don't have to, we're not going to give you a whole new vehicle charging equipment section. You can actually take your custom spec and not be bothered by updates. These are very non-interruptive. They're just going to kind of slide right into those bits and pieces to keep those sort of cornerstones up to date. So yeah, great question on the updating side. Let's see, I had a couple more questions that had been submitted to us early, and we can kind of get into questions from the group. So another one was, let's see, we do mainly renovation projects and sometimes historic preservation work too. Are there any sections inside of SpecLink for preservation work? So yes, we do have actually about 20 or 30 different historic preservation sections that are specific to SpecLink that we have added inside of the system and are constantly updated. So the answer to that is yes. And you can also add, I know that's a little bit more unique, but if you have any particular, again, sections that you use for historic preservation, more than happy to, again, import those directly into your Office Master, like so. Okay, fourth question. Let's see here. I am a large company and I'm trying to figure out the best way to expand SpecLink because it's been successful. Sorry, but they have a multiple sector division groups and multiple projects going on. So the question really is there a recommended way that you would suggest to roll SpecLink out to a wider audience at my group? So that's a really good question. We have firms of all sizes really that use SpecLink. That's kind of one of the exciting things about it is it can be catered to anywhere from a sole proprietor to a multinational organization. And a lot of our clients are kind of broken down by different divisions. Maybe they have a sector for multifamily or healthcare or car washes or fire stations for just kind of explanation. But if you do start, if you have it, let's say that you're just using it for your healthcare group, typically it's kind of found that you can roll out the package. We have different upgrade options to kind of help phase additional users into SpecLink. Now, having said that, we do have free training that we provide. So we do have a 1 hour and we have a 3 hour training course that we provide monthly, and that's free to all users. There's actually a live version of that, and then there's a pre-recorded version of that too. But that's highly recommended to kind of help new groups or users to sort of onboard the system. As always, we do have our technical support team here in Atlanta. They're available 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So they're going to be here via phone, via email to help you out as needed, kind of for any sort of one-off questions. And our team's really well known for being highly responsive. And then we do also have a user guide. So there's an option here at the top right, this question mark symbol, that's going to provide a lot of guidance to help you kind of get into it. So you've got different training videos. We have things that are really specific. So if you're just looking for a kind of a quick video on how to create paragraph links inside of SpecLink, or how to make selections, or how to set up your headers and footers or print, we've got really quick videos here that'll show you, kind of walk you through those basics. So there's a lot of different options here to kind of handhold new users through kind of getting started, and until that that training sort of turns into muscle memory. Now, if you've got other groups that are writing specifications, so it might make sense to start with, say, another particular sector. I know some of our larger clients, we had a firm recently that was doing it mainly for their healthcare, but they had another education division. So once they started with the healthcare projects and they saw that progress, they started to kind of ease into it with some additional licenses for their education work. But again, we can train your group. We have different training options that are available, and all kinds of resources to kind of help you, kind of get up and going with the system. Let's see here. Okay, and then we had one more question that came in early. So it is, let's see, I am a new user of SpecLink at an architecture firm. what is the best way for me to incorporate my consulting engineering section? So, yeah, we get that one a lot too. And, within SpecLink, it is a great system as far as just kind of a organization program container system for your specifications. So you can actually take let's say that you're an architecture firm and you sub out your MEP work. You can take those sections and you can actually import them directly in. Now, the nice thing with SpecLink is that when you do that, so a lot of the issues are just time taken when it comes to the collaboration of a spec is really just the formatting of the specification. So you may have your specifications in the AIA format, or maybe you have them in the CSI format. But you may get specifications from your consultants that are very, very different than that. So one of the really, really nice features is that when you do take a specification section and you upload it, let's say a mechanical section or electrical section, it will actually apply the project formatting. So the project wide formatting, it'll take those specifications and automatically actually align them with your documentation. So it does bring everything together. When those sections are imported, anything in the way of, say, headers and footers, those additional this additional specs will kind of roll up to that too. So it does help you to kind of make everything uniform. The other option, of course, is you can always take the specifications, and you always have the ability, of course, to export to either PDF or to Word. So you can come into the system and export your specifications and then kind of collate those with the other PDF documents that are provided by the engineers. But again, if you do bring them in, if they are able to provide them to you in word processing, then it will auto align the formatting. It'll roll up to the headers and footers. Also, it'll manage the table of contents, so it'll help to kind of consolidate that for you and make that a bit easier as well. Matt, were there any kind of thoughts or observations on any of those questions so far? That anything that stands out to you, or any kind of tidbits worth mentioning?
Not anything in addition to what I've mentioned regarding the reference standards. So
The
far,
reference standards.
you got it covered pretty well.
Okay, that's great. And yeah, so what Matt was saying, and sort of to elaborate on that, if you have, let's say NFPA 105, and that's something that's been manually added or imported from your document. We have a full reference standard library here on the right of the system. So this is going to be all the reference standards inside of the whole database. And what you can actually do is take that standard, so get NFPA 105. And I can also keyword search. So let me use this technology to my advantage. And I can take that and I can actually swap that out with the sort of the standard text. And then that will become an automatic piece or an intelligent piece of data inside of your imported specifications. So if we receive an update or publish an update for this particular standard, we'll actually go ahead and push that out to you. So it's a bridge to help with the updating of your own user imported sections. And I believe, Matt, do we have if it's not current, it's coming soon, we will attempt to actually read your standards in kind of the base text or plain text and convert them automatically to the
Yeah, so
sort of the intelligent.
we already have that feature in place in
Uh-huh.
the so if you have added your own reference standards to the reference standards library, when you import a Word document, it will recognize that that you have a user reference standard and convert that and use the same automation that the master reference standards use.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so there's a bit of an automated connection there, which is great. And if you have that standard added inside of your part two, I know that SpecLink will also add that automatically to the bibliography in part one. So again, just a bit of a sort of a manual minutia involved with the specifications and the coordination piece. But these intelligent links here, which we can kind of expand on a bit, but are designed when you click one thing. So when I click on again, this NFPA 105 in part 2, it's going to automatically bring that to life in the bibliography. So it does automatically coordinate those things. And for anybody that's new to SpecLink, these intelligent links are very, very powerful. We've got them throughout the whole database, but they're designed to help really keep the specification together. So if you're editing in Word, you're going through and just constantly deleting things out and making sure if it says one thing in part 2 that the coordinated pieces in part 3 and part 1 exist. But it's all a manual effort. So what these spec links do is they help to drive those coordinations. So if you do pick something somewhere in the spec, it will either automatically include another paragraph with a green link. It also there's a yellow link inside of spec link that will highlight something for more or less a clue to you. So it's saying based on a previous choice, maybe want to consider adding that in as well. And then we do have red links as well that are going to flag contradiction. So if you do have a choice that's made somewhere in the spec, if there's something that is going to be contradicting to that choice, it will sort of red flag that link. So really great to help coordinate, bring things together. I know a lot of times specifications are done so in the 11th hour of the project. So all things that can help to kind of keep your specifications lined up and in a row and accurate, consistent in those deadlines is a really good thing for our users. I did want to jump back actually for just a minute to take a little pause. We're going to actually stop and we're going to do a couple poll questions just to kind of engage with the audience here and talk to you a little bit about your usage with SpecLink. So I'm going to launch our poll. The first poll that we're going to ask is, what type of user are you? So we have different options here. The first option is type of user that likes to learn the cornerstones just to get my work done. I just want to get the things that I need to get done and kind of move on to the next. Or are you type that's taking training to understand advanced features? Maybe you want to become an expert in the platform to impress your colleagues or even identify areas to increase growth at your business. So just curious who out there is kind of more of a software nut and who may like to be. These are always fascinating. I love these. Okay, so really good response. Appreciate the input. So it looks like majority, we're still we'll give it a few more seconds here. So about 40% of the group falls into that bucket of take training to understand advanced features. So I want to learn more. I know what I know, but I want to get better. I'd say about 27%. I'm just here to learn the cornerstones to get to get my work done, to get my project spec out. And then we've got about 15% that are in the bucket that they become an expert in the platform to impress their colleagues, which is always good, and gives you some brownie points and helps your firm grow. And about 18% identify areas fall in that bucket of identify areas to increase growth at your company. So sort of that practice leader, or maybe someone that wants to become a practice leader, or maybe a partner one day, or maybe you already are a partner and you're looking how to best identify what workflows are gonna do the best for us. So that's really great. And then I've got one more poll question that I wanted to engage with the team on, which is, have you ever attended a custom SpecLink training webinar before? I know a lot of users are aware of it. A lot of users maybe aren't. So just curious to see kind of where our attendance rates are at on that. 30 more seconds here. So Matt, are you able to see these as well, these responses?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it looks like, yeah, so about 35%, that's great, are attending the 1 hour webinar. We've got about 20%, 21% that have attained the 3 hour webinar, and about 44% that have never. So, yeah, curious about your thoughts, Matt, about that. Is that kind of what you would have expected to be or would have hoped to be for our customers?
Um, well, I expected it to be higher with
Okay.
the webinars being a great jumping spot to get up and running with the program, and the fact that the webinars are free, it really does
Sure.
help a fast track a user into getting more out of the software.
Sure, sure. And you've actually been on the training side before, so I know that I'm seeing you've experienced a lot of before and after, SpecLink users and their sort of journey through training
Yeah.
and, what they,
Oh, absolutely. And when you are in a training session, whether it's an advanced webinar or even a full-blown training session, to find users that even though they're not new and they may have been using SpecLink for a while, and they find out about features that have been there for years that the
sure.
customer, the user, has never been aware of, and it really helps increase their proficiency and productivity with the program.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, absolutely. These are free training webinars that we provide. I believe we have a link in the documents panel, and we do it twice a month. So you can sign up for many. You can sign up for start with the 1 hour, and then maybe go to the 3 hour webinar down the road. You can, if you've done the SpecLink training, 2 years ago, you want to kind of get some refresher training, or you got somebody new that's a new colleague that's sitting by you that you want to kind of get them oriented with it, and you want to sit down with them. I mean, it's just always available to you. So we hope as many users take that opportunity as possible. So with that being said, Matt, just curious, have we received any additional questions so far in the from the user group?
We have received quite a few questions.
Oh, good.
I've been answering some of them on the side,
Okay.
and so we've got some really good ones. So let me get back to the main list here.
Yeah.
I'll go to the earlier questions that I have not replied to yet. Here's a good one for you, Alex.
Okay.
Mark Schiller is asking, what is the best way to manage the process of updating specifications for products on the SpecLink platform?
Oh, very good. Very good. So let's go. I'm going to open up just I'm trying to think of a sort of a product rich section where we're going to get into a lot. I always think of painting because there's just so many different options to choose from. But yeah, when it comes to the products, so our what we do is inside of course, we'll go down to part two of this interior painting section. We have multiple different manufacturers that we provide. So every single section typically has about 10 to 20 manufacturers. A painting spec may have upwards of 50 or so manufacturers. But we have a very tight relationship with our manufacturers, and we include that in our constant updating. So we always have information on in addition to the manufacturers, we have information on the specific products that they include. So we can come down, for different types of products, and those are going to be found in our master notes. So here on the left hand side, next to a paragraph, I can click on this. And let's see, these are still our products. Let me get down to some specific ones. Okay, so we provide information about the different types of products, details about those products, and you can also, and then of course we keep that information up to date. What is the MPI, or what's the product number? So all that information is going to be kind of kept up to date through the master text. And then you'll have the ability too that you can, of course, review our updates. So, here again, being a big one, um, we've got 192 updates available. So we're going to constantly alert you of where those specific updates are, for new, product updates, new products that are being rolled out. Again, if a manufacturer's sort of gobbled up by somebody or changes names, all those sorts of things. Yeah, we'll keep all that up to date and alert you, so you'll have that ability to um, not only work from our content and our content resources, but also keep those product pieces of information up to date. Yeah. Okay. Anything worth that you think worth adding to that, Matt?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. And let's see here. All right. Are there any other questions that I know that you've kind of been answering the questions to the group sort of on the back end, but was there anything that kind of stands out that's maybe worth kind of bringing up with the group, or anything that's kind of a bit interesting from the?
Yeah, we have a really nice question from Rihanna.
Okay.
And the question is, we are a manufacturer and primarily work within
Mhm.
Spec Live. However,
Okay.
I understand that SpecLink offers a feature that allows users to collaborate and co-author specifications. And she's
Mhm.
asking if we could elaborate on how the functionality works and how manufacturers might engage with it. So touching on how the collaboration works, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, don't get mad if I'm wrong on this one, Spec Live users to some degree do get a certain kind of access in SpecLink in order to see their content. I know that that was the case in the past, and so if that is the case, then
That's a
it
great
probably does
question.
open up. Yeah, it does open up the ability for anybody in the platform to collaborate with the commenting and co-authoring of documents.
Absolutely. So yeah, really good question. So that is correct, and we do have, we will typically provide our, if not always, our manufacturers with, yeah, access to SpecLink. So you'll always be able to review your content. Now, really, where SpecLink's going to come into play is it's giving. So we provide, for instance, information about the manufacturer. We provide the contact information always for the manufacturer, so that's available to help the specifier, as they do have questions. But what we're really trying to encourage, and this is platform wide through, collaboration with a manufacturer rep and a specifier, or a manufacturer rep and a hardware consultant, or maybe a spec writer and an owner, or a spec writer or an architect and an engineer, any sort of scenario. What SpecLink set up for is true collaboration. So you can take for instance, the architect can take, if you have a question and you work with a particular rep and you have a question, let's say you're in something more complicated like a door hardware section, you can actually take that project and you can share it with your BPM rep. Okay, and so you'll type in their email address, just really simple stuff. You can give them access to the whole project, or if you just want to give them access, let's say, to that door hardware section, you can kind of, pick and choose them, what you're going to share with them, and then you can also give them the ability to, probably in this scenario with a building product manufacturer, you probably want to limit that to view and comment capabilities, unless you do want to give them access to make edits to your specification, which could be the case too, just depending on your relationship, or what type of information that you need from them. And then from there, when we're inside of that section, it opens up a dialogue. So you'll be able to come in here as, say, the architect, and I can come down and let's say I have a particular uh, question for curries. Okay, so what I can do is I can invite them to my project. There's a little shared with me tab as well. Forgot to mention, where you'll kind of have that shared real estate with your reviewer or collaborator. And then you can ask them any specific questions, and you can assign it to that person as well. So, should we be going with this hardware set for this project, and you know, do your products align? Can you fill out the hardware set below? Okay, and when you do that, it's going to actually send, and you can mark the sort of the status, so you can say if that's going to be sort of, so let's kind of kick that off as an open comment. Okay, and then we have the ability here, you can choose sort of the level of criticality. Okay, and then what happens is when you do that, it's gonna you can set it up for email, or you can kind of take that option off. But if you do this, it'll email, let's say your building product manufacturer rep, um, and then they will also have the option to receive a notification inside of the system that will take them. They can see this at the top right in the queue, and it will take them to your comment, so you can begin to respond and you know yes, see edits in hardware table. So it's a great tool to help kind of facilitate that conversation between those parties. Um, Same thing can go for as you're going through as the building product manufacturer. Maybe you have a question, you've been invited. Maybe you have a question directly for the architect. So same thing goes. You can submit a question to the architect or the engineer. They'll also receive an email and or a notification of the system, and then they'll be able to come back and respond to you. Again, if you do give editing rights to that person that is the invitee, then they'll also have that ability to come into SpecLink. Um, Definitely would want to make sure you've got your track changes on, and then you'll be able to see any of those specific um, modifications to, let's say, the table, and you'll be able to see, who that was, that it was your rep, made those additions. You can use the commenting as well to kind of bring everything full circle. And then once you're done with that, and that's all kind of buttoned up and completed, then you'll have the ability here. You can just choose to resolve it. So I'm going to choose resolved. It'll remove that sort of open comment from the punch list. And so when I say punch list, there's an ability to actually run reports. You can also see at a high level, like what sections have updates or active comments available. Okay, so it just brings everything together. You've got everybody interacting in the specification. Again, you may want to limit it to commenting. You may want to invite for editing, but it allows you to kind of have that better relationship with your manufacturer and get those critical details that you need for that project. Yeah, so that's kind of going to be the answer for that one. Matt, anything else that's kind of rolling in? I know that our groups you've never been shy in the past, so
Right,
today were the
absolutely.
exception. It certainly would be.
Right. So I've got a couple of items that I could speak to.
Okay.
We have so I did put some responses in, but for everybody's benefit, I'll go ahead and cover a couple of those real quick ones. Uh, Philip is asking is if it's possible to share only a subset of sections to a third
Okay.
party when other sections may contain sensitive info that doesn't concern them. And the answer is yes, absolutely. When you share a project out to other parties, you can share the entire project or you can limit it to a specific set of sections in or divisions that you only want that user to see. So absolutely. So there you see Alex is demonstrating where you can specifically choose individual sections that you want to share to each individual party. So absolutely, you sure can.
For sure. Yeah, I always want
Another
to make
question.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead. I was going to move on to
No,
another
no, no. I was
question.
going to say, I think our system's really good at that. So, like, when it comes to partitions, who you want to have invited, what do you want them to be able to do? And it makes perfect sense. You would only want probably would not want somebody invited to have access to the whole specification if they're just that door hardware consultant or a rep for a painting company. So yeah, it's really great at that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as of right now, anyone familiar with sharing a project to another user, you realize that you can only share it to one user at a time. And if you have more users, you have to go through the share process each individual time. With the release coming out this weekend, you'll be able to share projects out to up to 20 users at one time. So that gives a lot more flexibility for users coming this
Oh, that's
weekend.
awesome. That's
Yes,
really
yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Uh, so another question from this is kind of an advanced question,
Uh-huh.
uh, and it's from Brianna.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, not from Brianna. I got my questions mixed up here. Give me a quick
Oh, no
second.
worries.
Okay. Um, all right. So here it is from Julie. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So she has a question about intelligent linking between
Okay.
specification sections. It's quite an involved question dealing with tags and linking from one
Okay.
section to another. So let's say she has a list of specific tags they mention in their administrative requirements section, and they want to have some kind of a smart linking to identify paragraphs easier in the process for the specification writers. And it is possible to do the intelligent linking from one section to another in the way that Julie has described in the response. We also have an option within the software where if you add that, and here she's using she's calling it a PI tag, but it could be any tag that you create, any user
Okay.
tag,
Uh-huh.
that once you have that paragraph tagged and it's active in your project, that you can use the reporting menu to print out a report that shows all sections that have that active PI tag on it, or any other tag for that matter. And so many users are not quite familiar with the reporting menu, and that gets into the ability to export reports showing where tags are used within the project. So that's great for requirement reports and other things of that nature, and also for internal checklists and stuff like that. So I may need to reach out to Julie additionally to go into some more detail if she's looking for more
Sure.
information on that, some deeper information, because it could
Okay.
be it could be a combination of using links and tags together, or
Sure.
a deep dive on using the cross section links, which we can definitely do.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. And just to Matt's note, and for those that are maybe newer to SpecLink, we have cross-section links. So when you choose in part one, the related requirements, the links that you kind of see through the scope of a document will also apply in the table of contents. It'll start to kind of clue you in for, hey, we also now need general conditions, or, construction progress schedule. So when we choose these items here, it'll kind of link those in with some little, tentacles to kind of bring that stuff together. And then you've got, yeah, we have tags as well. So we've got about 40 different tags that are built into the system. But the cool thing about it, I love, is that it is, like you said, Matt, totally flexible. So you can use for whatever, you're trying to report on. I've seen, different things like, if it's for a particular type of project, maybe you want to tag those, as healthcare or education, or even as granular as show me all products in SpecLink that are, red or blue. I mean, anything that you want to do, you can create a tag, and you just simply create it, and then you're able to tag different paragraphs and run reports.
Yeah, in here
Kind
it
of
would
describe that.
probably be very helpful if you could go ahead and go into the reporting menu.
Okay.
That way our attendees can see the menu, and
Sure.
the dialogue came up kind of low on your screen though, so I'm not sure how well
Hmm.
others can see it.
Okay. I don't know if there's a
But
way for me to correct that.
yeah, it may
So
just be the
maybe
way
it's
I've
just
got my. Okay, well that we can see the whole menu, but now it's not quite clear. So in that reporting menu, as Alex mentioned, we have master tags built into the system, and when you add user tags to your spec link, they will also show up in this reporting menu, and you can print to a Word document or a PDF. And for submittal type tags, you can do an export to Excel. So you have a couple of options of getting reports of where those tags are being used in your project.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a great way to take a extremely large document and report on things that are, kind of crucial to your understanding of, project coordination or, any sort of data you want to extract to kind of bring together,
Yeah. So
cross-checking of different parts of the spec, all those good things. Yeah.
oh, cross-checking is a huge thing. Yeah, anyone on the call, if you've ever back in the old days taken a spec book and had to pore over it for hours after hours, compiling a submittal report to send to a contractor that really should have done it themselves. Um, Now in SpecLink, all you have to do is when you're ready to get those requirement tags, those submittal tags, just run this report, a couple of clicks of a button, and you've got your report. Huge time saver.
You can choose to still do it the way that Matt had described, but yeah, this is a bit easier, bit easier. So yeah, the reporting is really um, helpful for those different sort of scenarios. Okay. Any other questions that are sort of rising to the
Yeah,
top?
yeah, this is well, we got a lot of questions, so I appreciate
Okay.
everybody submitting questions. So we will do our best to get through them. Ned's mentioned that in a previous spec talk that the import from Word is going to be
Mhm.
revamped. That he was told that, and you are correct. And that is actually being released this weekend, so mid-May, and we're right on spot on with that. And the change in the import from Word, the functionality for the most part is going to be the same as to how it imports and the conversion to the automated enhanced text, how that's handled. The big improvement is now instead of importing one document at a time, now you can do up to 10 documents at a time. So that's a time saver. Instead of having to go through the menu over and over again, there are a couple of improvements have been added so that as you're importing, you have more global control over the author field and how you want the section name capitalization to be handled. So we've given the improvement to really increase the efficiency of getting your custom content into SpecLink.
That's great. That's great. I mean, it's, as proud as we are of our content, our users are only that much more proud of theirs. So, yeah, all of these tools help to, kind of choose the best of both worlds. You can, import, sections of your own that are just preferred. Or if it's, something that you see, a lot of good stuff in our sections, which is going to happen a lot of times too, you can use ours and just kind of copy and paste in your content. But the system is a very uh, you know rigid for helping you kind of keep everything together, to have the reference standards be automatically updated, to have that ability to control the naming convention of the sections and make sure that just everything falls into line. So at the end of the day, it's all married up into just one database, one happy database that's got all the things that you need. Um, so that's really good. And yeah, we can, we've got an option to um, import sections. We do also have an option, just a quickly note for anyone that may be curious. This is a form. This is fairly new. It gives you the ability to upload anything that is not a three-part specification section. So if it could be an appendix or a geotechnical report or an FF&E document or something like that, you can take that as a form from Word, and then it'll allow you to kind of upload that too. So that's a bit of a neat one that's been added just to kind of
Yeah,
give you
and we
that
did have
ability.
that question from one of the attendees.
Okay.
If they could do anything more than just a standard specification section, and so the answer is, as Alex just showed you there, is to have it as a form. So it would retain the formatting of how you had it in Word, as opposed to being formatted as a specification section. We also have a future item that we're working on that will allow you to embed non-editable documents such as a PDF within the the project so that they would print out with the project so you'd have one source of information. So we're hoping to get that going later this year. So it's something that everyone can look forward to. So for now, you got sections and forms, and then later this year, hopefully we'll be able to provide that extended support for all users.
Well, that's awesome. That's really, really good. Yeah, constantly, constant updates. When you do receive updates, there's a little fun little presence button here at the top right of the program. You're able to click on that, and that's always going to be helpful to give you the full kind of, lowdown of all the new features and constant things that we're adding in. So it is a constant. I mean, SpecLink's been around for almost 30 years, and Matt and I've seen a lot of the evolution. So it's been an exciting journey, and it just continues to add. So we're usually pushing out releases, I think, every couple months. So there's constant new functionality that's coming in here, and then updates and content updates. So it's exciting times, exciting times. So yeah, with that being said, I think it's probably time to start to look at a wrap up, Matt, unless there was anything out there that was a burning question, anything that maybe is worth it. We've got maybe a couple more minutes for questions here, and then we'll probably need to start to wrap up.
Right. Let me take a quick look through. And like I said, we
Sure.
have many questions. So I'm hoping that we have a process outside of the webinar where we can grab the unanswered items and make a response to those
We do. Uh-huh.
shortly. Great, because all of
Yes,
these questions deserve answers. That's awesome.
absolutely.
Okay. Let me see here. One user wanted to know how to batch print a project. So printing is super important, and the answer is also super simple. Alex can go ahead and show that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you want to talk through it, Matt, I can just sort of mirror
All right.
your words.
Alrighty. So we have a couple of different ways that a user can access the print menu from the project dashboard. There's a three-dot menu, and also you notice that here, Alex, it has a project open, so we have a print button at the top of the screen. And if you happen to have a section open already, you can access the print menu directly. And once you go ahead and open up the print menu, if you would, once you get into the print menu, the it kind of remembers your previous settings. And so here it's showing as a section, but Alex can click on project and he can print or export the entire project. So all active content will be included. And as you notice those selection items there, you can print by project, division, or section. And you can also, when you select division or section, you can print a range of divisions or a range of sections, kind of a pick list that you can go through. So absolutely. So you can batch print portions or the entire thing.
That's great. And you can also choose, right, if you wanted to make it a single file or not too. So yeah, a lot of flexibility there, hopefully to cover the bases for exactly what you need when you need it. So well, great. Well, it's been a quick hour. It usually is. I do have one more, and as Matt mentioned, we will work on answering everybody's questions that we have not had a chance to discuss here over the course of the hour. We do have one more poll we want always like to share, just to kind of get a gauge from the audience. Always curious to know, kind of who is a current user of SpecLink. Maybe are you not a user of SpecLink, or are you a user of SpecLink, but your consultants are not, and you'd like for them to be?
All right. And while the poll is being responded to, Robert did ask a question about access
Sure.
to the design criteria folder. Um, Robert, you should be able to access the design criteria sections as long as that's included with part of your subscription. So we can double check after the fact and have support reach out to you or sales reach out to you once we take a look at the details of your subscription to make sure that you have access to design criteria and let you know what the next step would be after that.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, so we do have a couple add-ons that are there in the system, the design criteria being one. It's usually for it can be used for a handful of things, really. Preliminary project descriptions. It's great for design build firms. We have certain owners that use it as it's more high level sort of uniformat based specification. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff there with that library. So it looks like we've got about 75% of our audience here today is a current user. We've got about 20% or so that uh, are current users, but their consultants are not. So always trying to get those consultants into SpecLink so that we can make everyone's life a bit easier. Collaboration tools are really helping our users to, sync their specifications and make those decisions and get everything coordinated upfront. And then we've also got about 5% or so, or about 10% of our audience, which is not a current user. And so for that group, would also just re-mention that we do have the ability to set up a one-on-one with your group if you'd like to take a bit of a closer look at the SpecLink program, or we can set up a free trial for your team too. It's a 14-day trial, and that would give you the ability to kind of get in and take a look at it. We can consult with you on your specific needs. So always love to talk with new firms out there that might be considering change for their specs. So again, we greatly appreciate the time today. Matt, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help here today and your involvement. I know you're an expert with us, and you've been with us for many, many years, and we appreciate your knowledge and your support. So here is our contact information. Should you have any questions, either for me, again, I'm going to be on the sales side. If you have any specific questions for Matt, he's also available to help out. And then just a couple quick housekeeping items as we kind of wrap up for today's webinar, SpecTalk. We do have a new release webinar that's coming out on May 20th. So this is a little bit of a sort of in-between webinar. It's not an official SpecTalk, but it's going to be a webinar specific on our release. So anybody that is attending here today is able to join that. And that's going to be going out basically the upcoming weekend from now. So very, very soon, very exciting. And our product team will be running that webinar to walk through users through all the specifics and the ins and outs of those new exciting features. And then for our next Spec Talk, wanted to kind of wrap things up. That's going to be on June 11th. So our special guest for this Spec Talk will be Corrine Golding, and she's a spec writing consultant. And we're going to be covering how to move from word processing to SpecLink. For those of you that have been using word processing, but you see benefits here that you would like to adopt, how do I move from word processing into SpecLink? So she's going to share her specific story and tell us about how, what are some ways to go about doing that, and hopefully give us some exciting, information and good things for our perspective. So we greatly appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you for joining today's Spec Talk. Matt, thank you again. Really appreciate it. And we hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.